Thank you. Okay, so again, a lot of people are talking about responsible AI, and everyone who is working with AI in some capacity, maybe you're building your models from scratch, or maybe you're just reusing some already pre-built models or services that are using machine learning, you need to make sure that you are using artificial intelligence responsibly. You understand what is going on, where you're taking it from, it is transparent, and you are actually trying to make it better. Otherwise, AI and machines are going to conquer the world, and we don't want that. And there are several principles that I'm going to list Microsoft responsible AI principles, but other main companies that are working in AI spaces, they have similar principles. Maybe they word them in a different way, but it's those are six main principles from Microsoft specifically: fairness, accountability, reliability and safety, transparency, privacy and security, and inclusiveness. So when you are working with any kind of machine learning tools, machine learning models, you need to remember all those principles and make sure that your models and your tools are actually responsible. They're used in responsible way, and they were built in responsible way. And using Azure ML, you can do it in several ways. You can, as if you worked with the Azure ML Studio before, you probably know that there are lots of different options how you can build your model. And if you already have models built somewhere else, maybe you got them from third party, maybe you build it outside of Azure ML and then you want to import it there. There are lots of ways to actually build models from scratch, import models, work with models in different ways. And there are also lots of ways how you can make sure that those models are being used responsible, they build responsible, and actually they can be more transparent using that responsible AI dashboard. And here I am going to talk through a couple of options that you have, how you can actually build responsible AI dashboard. But I'm going to focus specifically on one scenario, which is probably more straightforward. So I think the a big question that sometimes occurs, and I personally had a question like that when I just started playing with responsible AI dashboard. Can I use the designer inside of Azure Machine Learning Studio to build a model and then use that model to create that responsible AI dashboard? And initially, I came up with answer no. That wasn't an option only because you need to have model as ML flow model with scikit-learn flavor. It is very important if you have other models. Unfortunately, they're not being supported by responsible AI dashboard right now. There are ways to convert your models, so that's always an option. But how can you build ML flow with scikit-learn flavor model inside your designer? I love designer a lot. I'm not a machine learning expert. I am kind of an expert, but I don't have any um, background. I don't have any education in data science. So for me, it's always easier to see the flow of the whole process of the process of building the model, and then creating model and then testing the model right inside the designer. And especially if you have mixed team, it's always easy to see something visually. That's why a lot of people actually love designer. But there are no out-of-the-box components right now that you can use to build those ML flow with scikit-learn flavor models. The only option how you can still use the designer, but at the same time create that specific kind of models is that create your custom components. And I know during Build this year and also at Ignite, there were a couple of presentations. I think B actually showed good example how you can use those custom components inside the designer and then build that special type of model using the designer. Another option how you can actually build that specific type of model is all the way custom. You can use the notebooks that are available right inside the Azure ML. And that is the main example that I'm going to show you. But before I move to the demo part of it, I just going to mention another option that you have. Just get a model somewhere else, which is already built with all the parameters that you need. And it's a special type of model. Again, it's ML flow model with scikit-learn flavor. If you have that model, then you can actually go to the models section here. You can upload that model. Actually, you don't even have to get it somewhere else. It's always an option to get a prepared model somewhere else and then just export it here. But you can also build it, for example, using notebooks right inside Azure Machine Learning Studio, and then you are exporting that model from one of your jobs and registering the model, and then you can use that model right inside here, inside the Azure ML Studio. And then you don't need to write any code regarding the responsible AI dashboard. So the example that I'm going to show you here, you need to write code for everything, for training your model, for testing your model, and then for creating responsible AI dashboard, you also write Python code in this case. But you can just write code for actually building a model, and then go to the model section, select your model, and then if it's the right type of model, then you'll have a link there. I can actually go back here and show you one of the models that I have, which is in perfect condition right now. And then you have the responsible AI option here, and you can just create dashboard. So you don't need to write code for that. You just click a couple of buttons there, select your training data set, and then your testing data set. You need to have usually you need to have two data sets. If you have a really large data set for training, it's recommended to split it into two. Lots of the time, it's 70% for training, 30% for testing, but it's up to you. You can do 50-50, but it's recommended to have more for the training and a little less for testing. So you can just click a couple of buttons there, and then you'll get the whole dashboard there. And then you can use that experience to create a scorecard later on, right from here. But I'm gonna go back to the notebooks. I hope it's gonna load. Yeah, that's the notebook that I wanted to show you. Here I did everything from scratch. There are lots of examples online that you can use. Some of them are focused on creation of the model, and then you can export it. Some of them are showing end-to-end workflow. This one is more end-to-end. So I just want to show you what's going on here really quick. I already ran it because we don't have a lot of time today. I just wanted to save time and show you what's going on here. Okay, so we are using ML Flow here and Pandas, and we are using LGBM classifier for this task. So basically, we are loading data, then we're cleaning the data, and then cleaning the data, getting the data out there, and we are running the training process and then creating the model here. Here I commented out the way how you can actually save your model inside Azure ML Studio. I already have that model saved. I was just playing with it, but that's a good option there. And then you can also register it here using this part. I already registered it as well. So if the model is already registered or you're retraining the model and you want to re-register it, it's gonna automatically create a new version for your model right there. And then, so once you register your model, you can go back to that model section and then create the responsible AI dashboard from there. Here I am using the code approach. So I am importing responsible AI widgets and the insights. It takes a couple of seconds there. And then I am created the scikit-learn pipeline right here. And I am using kind of creating that main responsible AI insight. Then I am adding a couple of sections to that inside. It's you can add explainer, error analysis, counterfactual analysis, and causal analysis. I am adding 3 out of 4. You don't have to add all of them. You can mix and match, maybe add just one. So whatever you prefer, you don't have to have everything there. And then you're just computing you're processing and creating the dashboard itself using all those components or widgets right there. And then you are basically calling your responsible AI dashboard here. And then in the end, you are getting the URL, how you can access the dashboard. So we're going to go and see what we got out of there. And you can see I was playing a little bit with it. So overall, um, there it's really informative. So if you see the responsible AI dashboard for the first time, I know it's overwhelming, especially if you are like me, don't have any education, any official education in AI. I'm just trying to play and learn by myself, which is nice, but sometimes I feel overwhelmed. So when you see it for the first time, you feel overwhelmed, but that's okay. You just need to try it a couple of times and play with it. There are lots of information around, so you can read a little more what's going on. You can try different metrics, and then you see the error coverage, for example. So if we go back here, um, the error rate is pretty low. So that means the model actually is pretty efficient. It's safe to use it. But we want to investigate what's going on and where all the errors are coming from. So we see that most of errors are coming from this branch, and 80% of errors are coming from here when screen port is actually less than 0. And actually the data set, I wanted to show you the data set first, but I'm gonna show it to you now so you see what I'm talking about. That's the apartments data set. There are some parameters here, and then like what year the apartment was built and what floor that is, and then how many bathrooms and all that fun stuff that we have. And then in the end, we are actually predicting if it was sold more than median value or less than median value. That's the data set. So if screen porch is less or equal 0, then we're getting more errors. Then we're gonna go here. Error coverage is 77%. And we'll come here. So when we have those parameters set uh, that are maybe less or equal or greater than those specific numbers mentioned here, then we're getting a lot of errors. All of our errors are basically coming from combination of those three factors. You don't have to use all three of them at once. You can just pick one and then dig deeper and drill down and see what's going on with the first one, and then go down and go deeper and go, kind of peel it out layer by layer, which is a better approach. But for a faster approach, I'm just gonna go through that path and create a new cohort here. And I'm gonna save it here. Uh, Um, not gonna give it a meaningful name. Sorry for that. So I created a new cohort and I switched right to it. So we have less noise right here, and we can focus on actually what is going on and what errors are coming from what parameters and what is causing the errors. So that actually helps to keep the model more transparent, and we can tweak and choose and make it better. So we also can use a heat map right here and choose a feature. Let me go back. So now we see that some errors are coming from, for example, this path. When garage cars more than 1.5, then we're getting a lot of errors. So we'll go back to the heat map and cancel. And we'll do search by garage. And okay, so that was garage cars. Go back here and choose garage. Yep, my data doesn't want to load. Garage cars. Okay. So we see that most of errors are coming when garage cars equal 4. And that means something is going on when the garage can feed 4 cars. And that way we can drill deeper and see model overview here. For example, we can see so that based on cohort, we can choose the data set and see, I'm just showing you the opportunity how you can play with data to figure out what is working, what is not working, and how you can improve your data. So for example, here, we'll get that garage cars. Okay, and we got only one, it's 4 here, and prediction is less than median. And we can move to the data explorer here. By default, it's showing us the temporary cohort, but we can choose the cohort that we want to investigate right here. And then also we can update the index. We can update the parameter here to better understand how data is actually spread out. And we can also see individual data points. So for example, if we show For example, we're going to show them predicted Y. We see that a lot were predicted as sold as less than median, and just some were predicted as sold as more than median. That means that a lot of apartments from the data set, they were sold less than median. You can also continue playing. If you choose data set here, you can pick any feature from your data set and then play with that. So I am just going really quickly through the dashboard because we have only a couple of minutes left and I want to leave some time for questions. So we'll get to feature importance, and you can see we are actually comparing temporary cohort, all data from the data set that was provided for training, and then our cohort testing one.
Yep.
And we see the difference that overall quality was the most important feature for the temporary cohort and a little less important for all data and for our testing one cohort. And then we see that it's kind of similar for the importance of features are kind of similar for our cohort and the main all data data set that we have there. So we can also go to individual feature importance to better understand what is happening there. There we are using temporary cohort here. We're gonna use testing one. That's our cohort because we are working with our cohort. It's important to make sure that you are picking the right one in the drop down everywhere because sometimes it's switching back and forth. So when we get here, we see that we have correct prediction and incorrect prediction. And for that incorrect prediction, we can click on that and see what actually influenced that incorrect prediction. So overall quality provided the most influence to that wrong prediction. So maybe you need to tweak the overall quality. Maybe it wasn't calculated correctly. There might be several assumptions when you see something like that. Um, and it is only for one that specific row, 222. Maybe you just don't have enough information about the overall quality. That's why your predictions are incorrect, and especially in that case. And then you can also choose the individual conditional expectation. For a feature that you can pick, for example, overall quality here. So when overall quality is dropping drastically when it gets to 7, so the predicted probability that it's less than median is less. That means if overall quality is 7 and above, most likely the model will predict that the apartment will be sold for more than median price, which kind of makes sense. So once you start going through your data and understand it better, it provides transparency. You can understand if it's fair. Um, you can also be more accountable. If you see something that is not working correct, then you can always go back, retrain your model, maybe add some data, maybe tweak some parameters. And actually the counterfactuals and what if analysis can help you with that. I don't really have time to go over that, but once you open the dashboard and start playing with it, you'll see that you have a lot of options. You can change all the parameters, and in the end, you can actually produce responsible AI scorecard. It's just a PDF document that can be easily read by your manager or people who are not developers and not AI related professionals. Um, there are more details and more explanation in that scorecard. So I do recommend checking that out. And now I want to check if we have any questions.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Great. Thank you a lot for your session. It is very valuable for every AI developers to have a good overview of how the responsible AI dashboard works. So thank you a lot.
Yeah, and it was new for me, so I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And since it is not that new for me, I wanted to ask your opinion about this new dashboard.
I really like it. As I mentioned before, it's kind of overwhelming when you open it for the first time. But once you start working with it, you try different data sets, you try different approaches and models, then it's easier to understand what is going on and how you can correlate the data that you see inside that dashboard with the data and the models that you are using for training. And yeah, and I know that Microsoft is continue working on that, and it's going to be better and faster and more easy
Stronger.
to use.
Yeah, better, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of models did you try this on?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes, sure. So what kind of models have you tried to build the responsible AI around?
Yeah, that's a good question. I tried a couple of classification models. I tried regression. So those are two main scenarios that are, I used everywhere. So one of the models that I used today, that was that the oh my god, I forgot the name of it. I'm gonna scroll it up here, and I just mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. Um, yeah, the LGBM
LGBM, yes.
classifier, that's for classification. That's one of the models that I used.
Thank you a lot. And also for your session and for preparation for being here with us. So I hope you will have a wonderful day going ahead.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And I thank you too for joining us for this session. We are going to close it down here, have a couple of seconds to have a break, and then we come back with the next session.